Okay, so last section in Unit 7, 7.6, here's what we want to be able to do. We want to be able to solve something called a matrix equation, but we're going to be able to use our calculator for this. So can somebody raise their hand and tell us if two matrices are inverses, their product is the blank matrix? Practiced this a little bit yesterday. Caleb? Identity. And the identity is the matrix equivalent of a 1. Now, I'm not going to take time to plug this into the calculator and have it spit out the inverse. I'm going to show you one of those in just a minute. So we'll assume you got that right. It looked like people were doing that correctly. Okay, here's the setup for today. So I want you to take a look at this. And I may have told you this before, but when I was a kid, there was a guy on the radio. He would say, the news always makes sense if you read it real slow. So this looks absolutely crazy, but it's actually not too bad. We're going to do two problems. One of them we're only going to do part way. We're just going to make sure that this mess of stuff makes sense. So here's what we've got so far. We've learned how to solve systems by graphing. We know what it means graphically if two lines cross or if we've got some planes that cross. Substitution, elimination, and we've used row operations. What we're going to do now is we're going to combine our knowledge of algebra and our knowledge of matrices to figure out, hey, could we put these together and use the same ideas that we use to solve an algebraic equation to solve what we call a matrix equation? So here's the vocab. We start with a system like this. The only difference here is we normally have numbers, we have coefficients here, and then we have constants for the answers. So if we've got a system that looks like this, and notice that they've got A, B, and C, and D, and so forth, then what we're going to do is we're going to make something called a coefficient matrix. So that's the coefficient matrix, that's A. We're going to have a column variable matrix. So that's right here, that's X. And then we're going to have a column solution matrix. Okay, we're going to call that B. And if we can write a system of equations that way, so we can represent it as A times X equals B, then the answer to that system is X equals A inverse times B, which sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. Okay, but all we need is the inverse of A, the inverse of that matrix in order to solve this equation. So we're going to come down here and take a look at this right here. So this says if AX equals B, my question for you is, why does X equal A inverse times B? Colson?
Well, so if you would divide the A, then it puts it on the bottom, and the inverse of something is just putting it on the bottom.
Very good. That A to the negative 1 kind of means reciprocal. So it would be like we'd normally divide both sides by A. But what we're going to do is instead of dividing by A, we're going to times by A inverse on this side and this side. When we say those two would cancel each other out, what do we mean by that? A inverse times A cancels it out. Yeah. It makes a 1. Okay. So if we were solving something like this, if we were solving 5x equals 30, if I did 5 to the negative 1 and 5 to the negative 1 here and here, those would cancel out. I'd have an x that would just be a 1x. We normally don't write it. So this would be the answer right here. All we have to do is say that X equals A inverse times B, and we're all set. So the only thing we're going to do on this problem right here is we're going to set it up, and we're going to make sure that this crazy stuff up here actually makes sense. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to write down a matrix equation. So the first thing we're going to write down is we're going to write down the coefficient matrix. So that's just all of these coefficients. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're then going to write down a variable matrix. And it's just a column. It's X, Y, and Z. And then on the other side, we're going to put the answer column matrix. So this is going to be a 10, 11, and a 12. Now, we're not going to solve this. But we are going to take a look at this and make sure, does this actually work? Does this matrix mess right here, where we've got this 3 by 3 times this column matrix equaling this column matrix right here, does it actually represent this system of equations? That's what we're going to check on this one. So when we're multiplying matrices, we always check this. This is a 3 by 3. This is a 3 by 1. So Keely, can I multiply these? How can you tell? Yeah, the inner dimensions are the same. So the inner dimensions are going to be the same. Abby, what are the dimensions of the resultant if I multiply the two of those? 3 by 1. Okay, so that's a 3 by 1. So do the dimensions match up?
Yeah.
They do. So here's what I want you to write. We're going to come over here. If I multiply the two of these together, I'm going to end up with a 3 by 1. And I already have a 3 by 1 on the other side. Whoops, 3 by 1. So that is a 10, an 11, and a 12. So I'm going to make this 3 by 1 look kind of funny. I need an entry here, here, and here.
Why is it so fat?
I'll show you in just a second.
It's probably like equations in the
Ooh, good guess. Okay. If I multiply these two matrices together, I get a 3 by 1. I left the other side of the equal side alone. It's a 3 by 1. We've just got a 10, 11, 12 there. Everybody good with that? Okay. This one is the first row, first column. So I'm going to take the first row and I'm going to multiply it by the first column. And I'm going to add those together respectively. So 1 times x is 1x. 2 times y is 2y, 3 times z is 3z, and then I'm going to add all those together. So this is an x plus 2 y's plus 3 z's.
You were correct, Wilson.
So the next one, that is in the second row, first column. So second row, first column. Wait, there's only one column on this. So we're going to multiply these together. So that's going to be 4 times the x, 5 times the y, 6 times the z, and we combine those together to get that one entry. So this is going to be 4x plus 5y plus 6z. And then you can guess what the last one's going to be. So this is third row, first column. So I'm going to take the third row, multiply it by the first column, and I end up with 7x plus 8y plus 9z. And the only way that these can be equal matrices is if they're equal element by element. So I'm going to highlight this. That element there in first row, first column would have to equal that element right there, first row, first column. So what we're saying is x plus 2y plus 3z would have to equal 10, which is exactly what that said. And then this one says that 4x plus 5y plus z would have to equal 11, which is exactly what that one said. And you can match this one up, and we've got that one right there. So is everybody convinced that that matrix equation represents that system of equations? All good? Okay, then you're going to like this. Once we understand why this works the way it does, so there's two parts. One, can you write it like this? Does it actually work if you represent it that way? And can you solve things this way? Which we just kind of verified over here that you can do that algebraically. So the great part about this is, here's what you're going to write down. You're going to write down a times x equals b. And then you're basically going to throw it in the calculator. So the matrix equation on this one is 1, 2, 5, 2, 3, 8, -1, 1, and 2. Then we multiply by the column variable matrix. So that's going to be an x and a y and a z. And it equals that answer matrix, that answer column, 2, 3, and 3.
Yes.
So this is A, this is X, and this is B. So X equals A inverse times B. So we're going to grab our calculator and we're going to type this in. So on your calculator, we're going to type in A. So we're going to grab matrix menu. We're going to come over here and we're going to edit this. I've already got a 3 by 3 in here. So we're going to do a 1 and a 2 and a 5. 2, 3, 8. And again, I'm typing with a stylus, so I got to double check because it's sometimes I hit the wrong button.
How do I do like X, Y, Z?
Okay. I've got it in there the right way. So I'm going to hit second quit. What else do I need in here? I've got A. Luke? We don't need the variable matrix. We need B. We need this one right here because we already typed A into our calculator. It'll take care of the inverse for us. We're going to have to multiply it by B, so we're going to put in B. So grab the matrix edit menu, and I'm going to put in B. So this is a 3 by 1.
Yes. I got that.
And it's 2, 3, 3. I hit second quit. I'm going to come back to the home screen, and then I literally just type this in there. That stuff right there. So we're going to pull up the name of the matrix A. The inverse button is right there. It's right on the matrix button, just not second function. And then we're going to grab the name of the matrix B.
Not one of the multiplication side either will automatically do it.
So the calculator knows implied multiplication. If you want to do a times there, we could check and see if that makes a difference.
It doesn't.
And there we go. So this is, let's see, let me shrink this
So
down a
easy.
little bit.
Can I do that on the test?
I'm sure there's one like this on the test. So -2, -3, and 2. Then all you have to do is just write down the ordered triple. So -2, -3, and 2. This just reminds us that what we're looking for is we're looking for the point where the planes cross. They happen to cross at that particular point. Okay?
But it's three-dimensional.
Okay. What will this method tell us? Be able to tell us if there's, well, let's ask it this way. Will this method be able to tell us whether there are no solutions or infinitely many solutions?
No solution.
I feel like we've come up with an error, bro.
Why do you feel like that?
Because you can't have like infinity as a number on either of those, and you can't have like.
So there's a difference between infinity or infinitely many of something. You're on the right track, though. Do matrices always have inverses? No, they don't. Okay. They don't have an inverse if the determinant is 0. Okay. That might screw things up. We might get an error like Luke was talking about. Okay. We wouldn't be able to tell the difference between infinitely many solutions and no solutions. So we'd have to have another method to do that. Okay. And guess what those other methods are? Row operations, graphing, substitution, elimination, stuff like that. Okay. Any questions? All right. Okay. Can I see a thumbs up if this